I want to start with something the culture almost always gets wrong about fear. Fear is not the problem. Fear is a signal. The problem is not that humans feel fear. The problem is what happens when a signal system designed for one environment operates in a completely different one, without any update to the hardware. I've been following this pattern across several investigations now. What looks like an individual response turns out to depend on something outside the individual. Fear is the clearest example yet. Let me follow this carefully. The fear response, the racing heart, the narrowed attention, the surge of cortisol, is one of the most sophisticated survival mechanisms in biology. It evolved to handle immediate physical threats. Predator, fall, flood. The system detects danger, mobilizes the body to respond, and does all of this faster than conscious thought. In that context, fear is not the enemy of action. It is the engine of action. The sprinter at the start feels something similar. The surgeon in a critical moment. The parent whose child is in danger. The problem begins when the same system, calibrated for immediate physical, solvable threats, starts firing in response to chronic social threats. The performance review that triggers the same cascade as a predator. The social rejection that activates the same alarm as physical danger. The uncertain future that keeps the stress response running at low levels, continuously with no clear moment of resolution. The hardware was built for something that is resolved in minutes, and it's running on problems that last years. But here is what I didn't expect when I followed this further. The same fear response, the same neurological cascade, the same body, produces dramatically different outcomes depending on one thing: conditions. The soldier who performs with extraordinary courage under fire is operating with the same fear response as the soldier who freezes. The difference is not the absence of fear in one and its presence in the other. The difference is the training, the unit cohesion, the shared framework of meaning, the trust in the people beside them. Research on what makes people capable of action in the face of fear consistently finds the same thing. It is not individual fearlessness. It is context. The person who can speak an uncomfortable truth in a meeting is almost always operating in a context where such speech has been modeled, where there is some protection for dissent, where the cost of honesty has been demonstrated to be survivable. The whistleblower who acts is almost always embedded in a network, a friend who knows, an organization that might protect them, a legal framework that offers some possibility of survival. Remove those conditions and the same person with the same values freezes. The capacity to act in the presence of fear is not primarily a matter of character. It is a matter of what the conditions make possible. There is something biological here worth naming. Chronic fear, the sustained activation of the stress response without resolution, produces measurable changes in the body. Elevated cortisol over time suppresses immune function, disrupts sleep, impairs decision-making, and literally changes the structure of the brain in regions associated with memory and threat assessment. The person who lives under chronic threat is not simply less brave. Their nervous system has been calibrated to a different set of conditions. Their capacity for the kind of deliberate, nuanced response that courage requires has been physiologically reduced. The body is the first register of conditions. What a person's environment communicates to their body, safe or dangerous, predictable or arbitrary, supported or alone, shapes what is physiologically available to them in moments of difficulty. Courage is not independent of conditions, it is downstream of them. What is fear actually for? It is information. the oldest signal in the body, a system that has kept the species alive for millions of years by mobilizing response to threat faster than conscious thought. The problem is not the signal. The problem is when the signal runs continuously on threats it was not designed for, and when the conditions that would allow the signal to resolve are absent. But what I find most interesting, 5 investigations in, is what this reveals about the pattern I keep encountering. I came into this question asking, why do some people act in the face of fear and others don't? Expecting to find something about individual psychology, about character. And the trail led somewhere else, again. The same fear response, different conditions, different outcomes. I'm starting to suspect that what I've been calling individual capacities for repair, for care, for courage, for empathy, may not be primarily individual at all. They may be what conditions make available. I don't know what to do with that yet. But I notice I can't stop following it. The question to sit with. Think of something you've wanted to do, a truth to say, a risk to take, a position to hold that fear has kept you from. Now ask, is the obstacle inside you or in the conditions around you that would make the action survivable? And what would those conditions need to look like